Our team at Sasktel Cinematics is here to show you the video capabilities on the Samsung S21 Ultra. 4 cameras with frame rates ranging from 8K 24fps, 4K 60fps, 960fps, and 240fps. Reliable image stabilization, super fast charging with long-lasting battery, water resistant, high dynamic range recording. Need I say more? Today we are testing out the new Samsung S21 Ultra cell phone on a -30°C Saskatchewan winter day. Our team at Sasktel Cinematics is going to give you an in-depth look at the video quality the Samsung S21 Ultra can put out and show you how we created an epic cinematic ice fishing video on Last Mountain Lake.
What's going on, guys? We are back with another behind the scenes. This video is being brought to you by Sasktel Communications. Today we are out at Last Mountain Lake, and as you can see our breaths, it's really cold outside. It's about -30°C. Today what we're doing is we are filming a cell phone cinematic using Samsung S21. The camera capabilities on this thing, the specs are actually crazy. It shoots 8K in 24fps and it shoots super slow-mo up to 960fps, so extreme slow motion. We're gonna really put this thing to the test. It's freezing cold out here. As Kyle said, it's like -30, so we're gonna see how the battery holds up. I'm really interested to see how the in-body image stabilization holds up as well in the cold, because typically when it's really cold outside, in-body image stabilization systems will kind of freeze up and get a little wobbly and wonky. We have a snowmobile, so the first set of shots are we're gonna have our subject driving the snowmobile, pulling his ice fishing gear to his fishing spot. We're gonna have Anastas harnessed and safety strapped into the box of my truck. We're gonna be driving the truck on the lake and have our subject driving the skidoo with his sled, kind of following the truck, and get a couple different angles doing that. So the frame rates that I'm going to choose to shoot in are going to be in the 8K 24fps, so I just really want to try out the 8K. I want to see what it looks like. It's probably going to look just extremely sharp. And then the one after that, I'm going to actually film in Ultra HD 60fps because I want to be able to slow-mo the clips. Now when you change to UHD for 60fps or 24fps or even 30fps, you can actually use the super smooth options, and that really turns on the in-body image stabilization on the sensor, and I'm just really excited to see how that works, and the fact that we can also slow-mo the clips down too is just a huge plus. Now I'm going to be sitting in the truck bed, and Matt's going to be on the snowmobile riding right behind us, and basically what I'm going to do is, because we're not using a gimbal for any of these shots, I'm basically going to be holding the camera, so one hand is going to be cupped over like this, and then the other is going to be just like this, and I'm going to actually squeeze my elbows into my ribs, and that's how I'm going to get my shot. Just because I'm sucking my elbows into my ribs adds an extra point of contact, therefore you're going to get a little bit of a smoother shot rather than just holding the camera out like this. So when you are going for really smooth looking B-roll shots, you want to suck those elbows in, try to keep the camera as tight to your body as possible, and film away. So our next shot is going to be Matt getting off the skidoo, picking up his ice auger, and then walking with it towards the sun. We kind of have the sun positioned kind of in the background so we can have the sun peeking out in between our subject. It should look really money. So the frame rates that we filmed these shots at were in, I grabbed a few 8K 24fps shots, but mostly 60fps
in Ultra HD. So the reason why I chose to go with 60 FPS in the UHD is just because the image stabilization looked so good. Like, I was literally walking with Matt, sun in the background, he's walking with the auger on the middle of the lake, and it just looked so smooth. Like, we reviewed the clips after and it just looked unbelievable. But not only that, but you can take it one step further in stabilizing your clips by actually slow motioning the clip by 40%, and it just looks just unbelievably smooth. Such a cinematic shot. I am extremely impressed so far with this camera. So one other thing to take note of, guys, when you're trying to go for a super cinematic look on your footage, what we did for our shots is we actually had a shot where you could see Matt from head to toe. So you could see his full body walking across the lake, and then after that I grabbed a more close-up where you can just see the auger and about from like his kneecaps down to his feet. So you can see the auger being dragged. I had the sun in the background, so I wasn't, you know, filming down like this. I was actually pointing the camera up, leveling it off. After that, I got a super tight shot in slow motion of the auger and just getting the detail of it, so you can see some snow on the edges of it and everything. It looked awesome. And then what I did just for a fourth extra shot, which is actually not on the shot list, is I quickly popped up and I just grabbed a shot of the side of Matt's face while he's walking, just to have as an extra b-roll shot. But that's 4 different camera angles, mixing up your b-roll shots, making sure you're getting as many different camera angles as possible, because that ultimately just adds more production value to your video.
Next up, we have Matt, who's going to be actually drilling his hole with the auger. Again, we wanted to capitalize on the sunrise, so we were out bright and early.
So the frame rates that I went for this are obviously all slow motion frame rates. So I went with 60 FPS, and then I actually tried the super slow motion, which I believe is 960 FPS. That's really crazy that a camera off of a cell phone can put out a frame rate like that. It also does 240 FPS. So the camera that we use day to day, which is the Lumix S1 DSLR camera, that's about like a $4,000 camera right there, and it shoots up to 180 FPS.
So the one thing with fishing, and I guess this entire storyboard, is that we were relying on nature. We were relying on really catching a fish to make this video come to life. If we just came out here for the day and didn't catch a fish, it would have been devastating. So what we've done to mitigate some of that risk is we have created a set outside of where we're sitting as well as where Matt is sitting. So we have a set that is an extra hole drilled outside. Once Matt catches a fish inside of his shack where he is sitting warm, then we will quickly run outside and put that fish in the hole on our extra set. We didn't really plan for this right off the start, and we ended up catching a fish earlier than we thought, and everything got crazy, and I was just like buzzing to and from, trying to drill the hole quickly, running, shoveling, because we didn't want to kill the fish. So we were able to keep the fish alive in the hole while he was still in his shack.
So one important thing to capture when you are making these cinematic sequence videos is B-roll of your environment. So I noticed when I looked out onto the lake, I saw, like, because it's so windy out today, there was just a really nice snowdrift happening. So I walked into the behind the camper and everything and off-site, and I literally just laid down on the ground, shot in 60 FPS, and I just captured this snowdrift, and it just looked super beautiful and really just painted the picture for the viewers as to where we're shooting and just like seeing open lakes. So how we actually got the shot where it looks like the camera's focusing off to the distance and then up to the snow is you can actually put this into a manual setting. So I put into manual focus. So I literally pulled focus on the camera's lens to like the hills, like you can see like way far away, and then I pulled it close to where we were. I thought that the manual focus feature was something awesome just because I hadn't really seen that on a cell phone before, so it's really cool that they're starting to implement these into the newer cell phones.
All right, so for the next shots we had Matt putting on his bait on his hook and then dropping the hook into the water, in which we're going to transition it to a different view. What we did is we actually staged him setting the hook to make it look like he set the hook and catch the fish, and then he pretended to reel, and Anastas caught a variety of different angles. While it isn't the real thing, we were able to stage it in a way that it looks natural in the fact that he caught the fish, reeled up the fish, and then we cut to the shot of him pulling the fish out of the water, putting it back in the water to make it look like a fluid storyline.
So the camera settings that we used for these shots were 60 FPS and then the 8K 24 FPS. So starting with the 60 FPS shots, so we got different camera angles and we were at like different distances. So we started from far away, and that's usually what I like to do, is start far away and then I slowly make my way in. So I started far away where you could see the snowmobile and Matt fishing, and then I got a more medium shot where you could see maybe like half of the snowmobile and then all of Matt fishing, and then that's when I started to move to more tighter shots in 8K 24. So doing more of like a handheld effect where I'm panning back and forth from the hole up to Matt, up to his face, back to the rod, just getting a variety of different shots and getting more of that handheld natural look rather than just like super staged slow motion cinematic type stuff. So for the B-roll shot of the flasher, I actually shot that in 8K just because there's so much wind blowing and snow everywhere. I really want to shoot with the 8K just because the 8K really picks up like every single like snow speck, so it just looked beautiful. But other than that, we're using 60 FPS, and I did turn on the image stabilization, which was super clutch. I mean, I was literally walking at a decent pace, but you know, I was obviously trying to stay as steady as possible, but keep in mind that it is extremely windy out today and the shots looked extremely smooth, and once you slow it down by 50-40%, it's gonna look just unreal.
Okay, so for this next shot, I think it's gonna be probably one of the best shots of the day. What we're going to do is we're actually going to drill or auger halfway through the ice and then fill the hole with water, and we're going to put the camera inside of the hole because this S21 is waterproof. Then we're going to have Turk putting the hook into the water, and we might even do a stage shot where it's like pulling the auger out. I think this is going to be a really cool shot because you're going to see the cylindrical shape of the hole, plus like Turk pop his head up or like putting a hook in.
So how we're going to achieve this shot is we're going to use the front-facing camera. Now we could lay it on its backside like here and shoot with the front cameras, but I really want to use the camera that's on the screen. But we're going to be shooting in 60 FPS, so we have the option to slow-mo these clips down. And we're literally just going to press record, and we're going to drop this waterproof S21 into the water. I hope it doesn't break. It shouldn't. It says it's waterproof, so we're going to try to grab this shot. I think it's going to be super epic. I cannot wait to see how this looks.
So the shot turned out unreal. We had a bit of a hiccup with framing the shot. So we drilled the hole. The ice is about like 23 inches thick. It's really thick because it's been really cold here as of late. So we drilled the hole about 12 inches deep. But when we placed the phone in the hole, we noticed that it was kind of off center and it was only capturing half of the cylinder of the hole. So what we ended up doing is taking a hatchet and like hacking out a little slot on the one side, and then we slid the phone back into that slot. The camera on the top of the phone was directly center in the hole, and then we filled it with water, and I think it turned out pretty unreal.
Yeah, it was seriously so crazy. Like, we had the phone submerged in water, like freezing cold water, for I would say a solid 3 minutes, I would say. And that's a pretty long time. Like, it was sitting there recording for 3 minutes. There's no hiccups in the recording. We just pressed record, dropped in the water, and got all of our shots. And there was really like no stress. And honestly, when you pulled it out, it was really weird. Like, it was just like, it was almost dry. Yeah. Like weird. The way that yeah, it was super weird. But either way, like, the front-facing camera quality was just awesome. Like the 4K 24, the Ultra HD, awesome, looked super sharp and smooth. I was stressing, not gonna lie, like having a cell phone underwater, but it's crazy that we've gotten to this point where we can literally submerge a phone in water and it'll be perfectly fine. I'm really stoked about that shot. I think that's gonna be my favorite shot for the whole cinematic. I think so. Super stoked on that. One other thing I want to mention was the battery on this thing. As of right now, at the end of the shoot, It has 67% battery life. I mean, granted that it is a brand new phone, like literally we have not used this other than like playing around with camera settings around the office and shooting this video. That's still very impressive. You know, there's no freezing or anything on the in-body image stabilization.
And keep in mind that we've been filming at about like minus 25, minus 30 degrees Celsius, so that's really cold temperatures. I know the current phone I have wouldn't last if we were outside filming with it, so the battery power on this is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, like I'd literally be out grabbing those shots that you guys saw for, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes absolute max, and we have to run in and warm up. Like, no word of a lie, guys, I had 2 pairs of gloves on. My hands were completely frozen, like could barely move them. Like, I think I actually have mild frostbite on my thumb. I'm not even kidding, like it's all red and like kind of dark. So like that's how cold it is, and this thing literally held up like a beast.
And that brings us to the end of our shoot. We want to give a huge thank you to Sasktel for giving us the opportunity to test out this S21, film a cinematic on it, and show you guys that you can capture some pretty remarkable video using the cell phone in your pocket. If you guys are in the market for a new cell phone, make sure to check out Sasktel. If you guys are living in the province of Saskatchewan, they have this new Samsung S21, as well as a bunch of different other options. Check out their website and social media pages for more information.
So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more filmmaking tips, tricks, behind the scenes, vlogs, camera reviews, and more. We'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.